Hello, people and unpeople, and welcome to Untier Talk. It's the cast where we talk about PU, everyone's favorite tier of Pokemon on PokemonShowdown.com. Today we've got me and Najad as usual, and special guest, PU World Cup host, Team Europe captain, other things as well, tlenit.
Hi, although I'm not Europe team's captain, I'm just part of it.
Oh, you're just part of it? Who's captain?
Yeah, tell me.
Oh, right, Termy's captain. Sorry.
And then
Whatever.
I think KJ does is actually the
Yeah.
Asman
Yeah,
from
I
from
knew KJ. I thought it was you and not Termy.
yeah.
Um, anyway, we're gonna talk about World Cup mostly, but we should really quickly hit the Drampa vote. One of the reasons I definitely wanted to get someone on is because I haven't played in like the last 2 weeks. I've just been having a lot of fun doing everything that's not Pokemon. So I sat out the Drampa vote, and it did not get banned. You guys were both on opposite sides of this. It was a bit contentious. Um, but a majority of the council was against doing anything about Drampa, and I want to just give you guys a little bit of time to talk about it.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
let's get the ball.
Sandra, I'm gonna go first.
Yeah, sure. I think the main problem with the Trump for now is that it's slow. Well, it's brick. Like early NUPL was like the biggest consideration for me when it first came down here. The meta really looks similar than that, and back then it was stupid as hell. Like not gonna lie, it was too much. And Tony Plagan actually represented very well how much it can do when there's no switchings. But now compared to that meta, we actually have a lot of seals, berries to switch in and put it in the top spot. And it really relies on the right move to big lead.
Okay.
Although I do see why it's annoying as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, as far as I'm concerned, my thing with Drampa is that being slow would usually be a bad thing if you were talking about like a Glaceon type of breaker, where we're talking about it's kind of slow, but it's also kind of frail as well. It doesn't really give anything defensively. But with Drampa, in my experience, it's been not useless defensively. Like you can do a lot of things with switching into stuff like Tangela, Ferroseed, being really useful in that way, and like Flareon as well. You know, fire resists are a premium in this tier. So having something like that, it can also switch into just like weak threats in general, Gorgeists, just and with the spec set, of course, you have a great breaker, but I think the better sets are honestly Carmine Roost or Roost 3 attacks, and my personal favorite, which is AV, but I know nobody really likes talking about AV that much. Um, but yeah, Carmine and Roost 3 attacks have been really useful in terms of like long-term game strategy. And personally speaking, like it's way too good of a breaker when you combine it with its ability to tank hits, which is why I ended up voting ban. And I expected a lot more people to vote ban. To be honest, I didn't expect it to just um, stay so strongly.
Yeah, that's fair. I think one that actually showed in this voting slide was the time. Actually, like the more people play, the more they realize that it cannot do as much as it's been spoken. And you mainly saw the spec set actually. I gave a shot for like three attacks and glare set as well. That's demonic,
Glare's
but
broken, and we should ban the move.
That'd actually be a great
yeah,
idea.
Just saying.
yeah, the glare is a good move, but part of the game, and you need to adapt for that. And like Annie has actually showed quite well how much the aromatherapy and heal bellers like in general can do help with those threats. Like Sendaconda has been like entire generation there, and the glare has been a big issue as well there. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. From what I've seen, Drampa's not something that I would call convincingly broken. Again, the kind of thing that should just be a full suspect test. I probably would have fallen down on council shouldn't be quick banning this out of the tier right now because it's just not doing an insane. It's being a really good wall breaker, which is what it's supposed to do. But I don't know that people like have no options. But this is kind of something I think you need to play the meta to feel more. The only other thing I'll toss in is that like Dramp has seen a ton of usage, like really, really high usage. Like you go to Pew World Cup week 3, the only thing with higher usage is Togedemaru, which is like practically double everything else because it's just so much utility. Part of that isn't just that like Drampa is super broken or anything. It's also just that Drampa has great defensive utility and stuff. We saw a lot of like non-spec stuff. There was more defog and whatever. So it's not entirely that. I also don't necessarily think the fact that Mr. Mime shot up in usage is a horrible thing. Like that's kind. If you have a good mon, the things beat the good mon. There's always a line between over centralizing and just and we use more Mr. Mime now. And I don't hate using Mr. Mime. I'll say it. Mr. Mime's funny. Anyway,
I actually found that being like really cool at action, having the sound through Mr. Mime to shut the double step from a drum actually.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Mime, and it's so funny that Mime has like so much more usage than new drops that people thought were going to be really good. It's got more usage than like Rhydon and Ninetales and whatever, and that's great. I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
I would also be in favor of Mime usage, but for me, it still feels like a gimmick, just because the Mime thing. It doesn't really carry much utility. Like it doesn't defog or it doesn't set stealth rocks or anything. It just sort of sits. It's like your choice Scarfer at best, and you don't necessarily want to be switching your choice Scarfer into a breaker, regardless of the situation.
Yeah, it's really just trying to like discourage Drampa and not actually switching for the most part. Although, like at least half the Mime Mime got 7 uses. At least 3 of those were Midwest using like the same. I think it was Nasty Plot Mime, so it's not all Scarf. NP Mime just kind of works right now because it blows right through Cryogonal really nicely, which is fun. Because Cryogonal is everywhere. It's so popular. And I don't think it's actually that good, but it's just the kind of thing that you really want to fill your team out, so.
Yeah.
Also, as a fun side note, a friend of mine, 85%, actually did some sort of like high quality replay calc for the Trampa. There was like 30 different replays, and its win percentage was like 56. And Kangish Khan was on 16 of those, and its win rate was like 70%. So that's also fun little note there. That Kangaskhan is actually still up there.
Huh. That's interesting. There's really little Kangaskhan usage this week, I'm pretty sure. Because I went through all the replays recently to get the highlights. I know Hajad used it on Kanga Spikes. 2 uses, so that was literally half of them.
I think the replays are from CPL also, so there was a lot of Kangaskhan, but I don't have the list of the replays that 85% actually used, but he said those are high quality. I count on his word.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, Hajad, you were literally half of Kanga. Let's go.
Okay, that's not something that I'm unused to, but I was surprised. I didn't expect it to have so little usage, especially given there aren't really switches.
Yeah, it's a good mon. It's just annoying to not beat Sandaconda. I think Sandaconda would be totally fine, except Glare is just the most annoying thing. I hate watching it. I haven't played. I hate just watching it glare things. Everything else I've no problem with. Sandaconda Horse, whatever. Fucking Glare, man. Dumb move. That's why Trevenant is really good, and it should not be really good. But it is. Trevenant got 8 uses and 75% win rate. Look at that shit. That's just... I hate it.
That's exactly what happened in NU, actually, also, when the Glare para started.
Yeah, and you took Trevenant, and then they gave us both Trevenant and Sandaconda. Said you do the same thing now.
Yeah, it was like, hey, your turn. Go ahead, have fun.
Okay, I think I'm gonna start recapping the weeks of P World Cup. So, Pool A is the one that's got the Northeast Canada, the Midwest, the India, the UK, and then Brazil, Latin America, and US West. And those are the two teams at like the very bottom behind the other four. And they had to play each other, and whoever lost this was going to be pretty much eliminated from the tour. West lost, and they're eliminated. The West can't make it in. Brazil, Latin America still has a shot since they won, but it's also pretty low shot at this point. We're kind of running down to the top four teams. Bit of a weird series. West just kind of ended up losing some odd games, especially ones that I would have favored them in. Like Sijanider got his Togedemaru crit by Smash Costa Aquajet and just insta lost. LPZ beat Zamog, that kind of stuff. Really just wasn't their week. No, yeah, that's literally it. This was probably the least interesting set of the week. It was just, West didn't win and now they're out. Oops.
Yeah, their lineup still is like really good, and it's surprising me that they haven't actually win any of this week yet.
Yeah, HS also beat LST coming off the Soul Gazer win, so that's some good wins for HS. But it came from Yogi's funny hail team, but with the jump luff that Yogi just uses for fun. And then he just somehow won. That was a bizarre game to watch. I don't know what to say about that one.
I respect those choices actually.
I mean, it's just a meme team. Is the thing. I respect meme teams, but it's just a meme team. But that's about it for this series, really. UK India, you guys tied. UK, what's wrong with you? Do better. Come on, Ajad. You're gassing yourself up so much. Come on.
I can't get my team to get unhacked, right? There's like a curse. Like,
yeah.
As soon as the UK wants to win as a team, even though we have the individuals, we just don't. It's simple as that. Because I still think our prep is fine. Like, our prep has been doing okay. We're getting okay matchups. We're just either getting unlucky or just playing badly. So one's going to have to give.
Yeah, there were some unfortunate ones. I definitely remember King Leo versus Yogi being really dumb. I don't remember most of the other games, except for one of them is a highlight that I'll get to later. Oh no, I picked two of these as highlights. Why'd I do that?
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you have any more impressions about the series.
I was sort of impressed with how India's prep worked out, because their teams were quite solid, and generally I like the look of them. That being said, I think a lot of the reason that we got a draw out of that series was because they were misplaying quite a lot in the games, especially my game. I didn't get to watch all the way through most of my team's games, but definitely in my game it was just like a case of, okay, this guy's clearly not comfortable. Why is he using this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was you 6-0'd him with a stall. It's funny. India's brought a stall a few times, and they keep getting 6-0'd when they bring it.
Yeah, you'd think, well, if you're not comfortable using stall, either get the guy to test a shit ton so that he is comfortable, or just don't bring it. Try and cheese with something else.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the fun fact, I have been actually enjoying the look of their stalls. Like, those stalls are different.
They look good.
Those are.
They look good.
I like the first stall.
I like those.
The one that he used versus Hajad felt weirdly knockoff weak, if that makes sense.
That's just because I was using a lot of knockoff. I don't think that was a problem with the team itself.
Yeah, but if you run into a lot of knockoff, that kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually I think if you're knockoff weak, then it also kind of comes down to defog.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have weak hazards control, and you're also knockoff weak, and your defogger is weak to rocks, then it's kind of like, okay, well, there's not really much for him to play with at that point.
Yeah, just throw hazards at it and win.
Yeah.
Let's do Midwest versus Northeast Canada. We beat the ranked number one team 6-2. It was pretty surprising. Um, Mostly just down to 4-0ing them in SS, which was just odd. This is like the new SS meta, and we kind of had stuff on lock. I guess like Avarice beating Mary was Mary subbing in late for Obi, who didn't want to play after we'd already won the week. But we had some really good SS wins to open things up. We reused the same Mr. Mime team twice that I really liked. I think Expulso made it. It was a really fun team. And then old gens were just really stupid. I beat Soulgazer with like one Pokemon mostly. Trix versus Specs was horrible because Trix had an amazing matchup and then completely threw the start of the game and had to crit Specs' Duosion and then won off the amazing matchup after that. EV Sergio was really stupid. Haseup Brufasa was kind of dumb. It was a pretty good game. Just Haseup had like 8 billion muck counters and Brufasa had a muck based team. Like bizarre. The old gens games were just so bizarre, and that's my main takeaway here. Like we won SS, and then just old gens kind of.
Yeah, even if I don't really like Black and White and DPP that much, but I really like the game of between Brufasa and Haze Up. Like it was a good game regardless, I think.
For sure, yeah.
At least in the point of view of spectator. I don't know how much they enjoyed playing it, but as for me, it was good.
But yeah, it was not what I expected to 4-0 Northeast Canada with their SS core. So that's mostly what I attribute this win to.
Yeah, that's fair.
So after this series, we've got Midwest at the top of the pool at 5 points. Northeast Canada is still right there with 4, but tied with India, and they will be playing this week, and that'll matter a lot for who might make it in. UK is 3 points, so one behind them. They can still make it in, and they're playing West, who's been really unsuccessful this week. And then Brazil with 2 points, West with a whole 0 points. Pretty much no shot for them. Oh no, Brazil can't even make it in. I didn't even realize Brazil's out. Because Northeast and India both have 4 points, and they're playing this week, so one of them's going to hit 5. And then, there's a tiny, tiny chance for Brazil to make it in. Yeah, that's still possible. My original math was right. And they'll be playing Midwest this week. So it looks like it'll be mostly down to Northeast Canada versus India, who can pull a big win this week and then not falter the next. But some possibilities for...
Wait, no, you're actually wrong. I think if Brazil wins against US Midwest, they end up having 4, Midwest 6 with the 5, and Northeast Canada and India ties, they will all be at 5 points.
Yeah, Brazil can still make it in. They just need Northeast Canada to tie India, and then they both have to lose next week and something like that.
Yeah, it's not in their hands, but I think there's a reasonable chance. Like India has been quite okay in the lower tiers, so if they can find the wins in SS, they can absolutely find a way to get a point here.
But your UK Hijab is not out, especially if they tie this week. That would be really huge for you guys to pull past those teams by beating West. So,
yeah, I think for us, we just focus on winning the next 2 weeks. I think we have US West, who I'm not overly worried about because they're already out and they probably won't prep. So as long as they don't pull some crazy shenanigans, we should be okay. But next week is going to be the real cruncher because we have to play Canada.
Yeah.
Essentially for a spot in playoffs. So it's going to be make or break for sure next week.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So if Canada beats India this week and you win, but then you beat Canada, you can still surpass them and make it in. So that's actually a pretty straightforward win path for you guys. Just getting the win and then
just don't lose.
Getting the win and then beating Canada. Yeah. Other pool B, Europe versus Asia, Africa, Australia. tlenit, you guys tied them. Do better.
Yeah, Yeah, the old gens folded up as 1-4. Although the Devin Alice game was actually again DBB game that I actually enjoyed watching. It was a good game. Even regardless, Devin getting the early crit on our grass side, that was basically our way
Yeah,
to deal with the whenever
yeah.
one actually broke through.
TKO Lily wasn't much better. TKO brought a Sun that I very much do not like, and I think it was like an early crit plus dodge or
Yeah, there
something.
was something like that, but I think that's how the old gen stuff just simply works. Whoever gets the first crit breaks through.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and you guys had
uh,
you definitely had a much better SS this week. But
well, we
old
had
gens went
the broken Trevenant there running. I think we had three of them. And Trevenant went like 2-1 for us.
hell yeah.
And
Some fun games
to
here.
point
At
out,
least one of them is a highlight I chose as well.
yeah, I think what people missed on the trap game was that we had the one fun little tech was the eject button into the bandit Trevenant with the quillfish. Get the 3 clicks there and break through the Revendon's team.
Yeah, I remember. Okay, yeah, I remember that game. That was funny. Um,
But yeah, otherwise I think the Asia actually did well overall, and them getting a first point there was very deserved.
mhm. I do have to ask though, what was with Gorex's team? That was a really weird one. It was like a Golduck Rapidash balance.
Um,
It has no
I
fighting resist. It's a weird team.
Yeah, as far as I know, I think Gorex actually just wanted to use the Kings of Chinchino and just roll with whatever. And well, yeah, we worked it out. He got the flinch on something. I cannot remember which. I guess it was against the Carbink. He rolled the seed bomb.
Oh
And
yeah.
well, bullet seed. Sorry, and I got the flinch there, and which ended up being pretty clutch after all. Good for him. Good for him.
Mhm. Next set, South tying Germany. So again, those teams that are like kind of in the back, tying the teams that needed to get some wins to compete with Italy and France. Um, don't have much to say about this one. Some fun games, mostly not super memorable. I don't remember any huge techs or. I think Piff Vanny was a fun game.
I don't remember any of these games. I think the only one I can remember is DNB winning against Man of Money. I'm a huge fan of actual DNB. He has been very solid through both PUPL and through this PUWC as well.
Yeah, me and what's it called, DMB, we go way back to when I used to play Gen 5 NU. So
Yeah.
I rate him quite highly as a player as well. So to me, it's no surprise that he's making waves over here. It's a meta that suits him.
I think he just won both CU tournaments, the DPP and Black and White also. So he has been running hard as of late. When it comes to like these audience, yeah.
I also want to give a shout out to Pink Dragon Tamer's win over Zugaboo. That was like the fifth game that I narrowly cut from my highlights. Featuring a Drampa Okoing a Berserker after rocks with Specs Draco. It was banned Berserker, not AV or anything. Just that was a fun moment. But yeah, that was a strong win from Pink Dragon Tamer. Not a super close one, but I almost included it because that was just a really effective game from him. And then you have the showdown of the top two teams in the pool, Italy, France, and the only one that doesn't come out in a tie, with Italy actually beating France 5-3. And a lot of the games here were quite fun. SS was pretty back and forth. Italy just did better in the old gens. Which is surprising, because old gens are kind of supposed to be Italy's weakness here. But they took wins like Corkscrew beat Katat and Han beat.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Corkscrew beating Katat and Han beating Pepe. I would consider both pretty solid upsets. Corkscrew Katat in particular was just a pretty interesting win.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Eresh Kigal, but I think the list is also great black and white player, so I'm favoring him there. Hound versus Pepidis, I find that like being a 50-50, which one comes out of as a winner.
Mhm.
So I'm not even surprised Hound actually won the game.
Um,
I'm the biggest horn simp in the history of the world, but I don't think that he's on the same level as Pepe. Just
exactly
because
what
Pepe has
Ajad
like
said.
he's like well, the thing with Pepe is that he won a lot of Oras tournaments. You remember back in the day, like
Yeah.
Oras seasonals and stuff. He was actually winning a lot of those tournaments. Horn was still and still is quite a raw player. Um, had talent, but he couldn't keep it up for the entire course of a seasonal. So it doesn't surprise me that Horn is capable of beating somebody like Pepe. But I still think Pepe goes into that as a favorite just because he's actually won things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he just came off like a pretty positive SPL, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I
I'm pretty sure
not
he had
entirely
like
sure about the
the
SPL, but
top 2 RU record or something like that.
yeah, he's a good player. Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, yeah. They cast. It was just interesting. I wouldn't have expected France to keep SS even and then falter in the old gens. I think their old gens are generally um, better there. Corkscrew being Gatut in the weird game, like I said. So yeah, Italy pulls ahead. Italy solidly undefeated, top team in the pool. These standings are. Oh no, I'm looking at the old standings. That's why. Yeah, Italy top team in the pool, undefeated. France is still second because the other teams have just not been beating each other. They're all tying. So France second with fourth place. South and Europe only with 3 points. Both of them really would have liked a win last week because they're still 1 point behind France. And then Asia, Africa, Oceania, and Germany both with 1 point. Pretty much no hope of getting through.
There is actually very small hope, but the chance is 100%.
Yeah, like there's a chance, but pretty much nothing. It'll mostly be down to South or Europe with their 3 points trying to overcome France's four. I don't imagine Italy is going to not make it. South and Europe also play each other this week, so it'll pretty much just like if they tie and France wins, they're gonna have no shot. But if one of them beats the other, then that team will go on to have a
That's
shot
actually
to beat
hope
France.
because Europe plays against France on the last week, so there's very simple win path for Europe to qualify. Just beat both weeks.
Yeah, I mean, if you win both weeks, obviously, I'm saying if you guys each tie each other,
Also,
then
yeah,
it's going to be exponentially harder for anyone to overcome France. Um, but both pools have kind of settled into the thing where you've got one team in the lead, one team slightly ahead, and then two teams looking to overtake that with two teams in the back.
yeah.
How about highlight games? Not going to spend a ton of time analyzing them. These are more just like if you want to watch the best games, I think these are the 8 you could try. I chose one of each old gen and then 4 SS games because there's 4 times as much SS. I found Rosie Bear versus whoever this alt is. I don't know this alt. Rosie. Oh, it's not an alt. It's just an Indian player. ABD
It's just
1710.
It's
Um,
not an alt. It's just it's ABD.
yeah, I mean, I don't know ABD. This was an interesting game. I don't. They for the most part, I think they had a pretty good idea of what their win cons are, which made this just like a relatively fun back and forth SS game that came down pretty close. Uh, Not so much on like the super
I
out
think
there
this is
sets or
one of
anything.
those good games. Yeah, and I think this is one of those showcase games where you can actually just point out how the team is not really prepared to just hard wall Trampa, but actually can play around it, and that's what actually ABD does pretty well during this game.
Absolutely. Multiple times he gets the pivot on Carbink versus Dryskin Jinx to just not be taking damage from Drampa, which is pretty much what led him go toe to toe on bulk with Rosie Bear. Like they both killed each other's teams about as fast, even though Rosie Bear had a Drampa, and ABD's breakers were not Drampa. Uh, it do be like that sometimes.
Um, yeah, I think Rosie's team, looking back on it, might have been a bit too reliant on the Drampa to initiate the breaking. Um, that being said, I don't think ABD was unprepared for Drampa. I think Carbink plus Toad plus Jinx and also like Singino, he only had like as switch-ins or checks. Like that's a pretty good
Yeah,
base to work off of. You're not Drampa weak with that. Even though he has the one Trev, which is the liability, I don't think he's weak to Drampa at all.
for sure. I guess
No,
the one tech to
but I
point
mean,
out.
it's not over prepared either.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you could consider it over prepared because there's a lot of checks, but they're all like common, just like common good mons that end up like coming together for the team, which is one of the points against Trampa, I guess. The things that beat it are mostly good outside of the mime, which people didn't use a lot. The one, I guess, tech I would point out is Rosie using Scarf Polyrath, which has shown up a couple times now and was an NU thing before it dropped, but I don't know if people know that Scarf Polyrath, like, that's kind of a cool set. Um,
Yeah, it was actually a thing there. I think I used it a few times in DPL, I believe, and in the French SPL, and it was good there also. So I'm not even surprised that players like Roserate is actually using it. But, like adapting to community players like Scarf Polybrek might feel like slow, but it actually hits
No.
quite good speed to G.
Sorry.
No.
I agree with what you're saying. I was shouting at someone else.
Okay. Okay. That came out. But yeah, I mean, like, slow Scarf is like a Polybrek with close combat is good. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
No use.
Click close combat. It hits things.
People that run fighting resists. I hate that.
I actually chose
I hate people that do that.
another UK game for the highlight. UK India. I thought Tasker versus the Thunderbirds was a fun one. The last game was extremely close and down to the wire. This one was a much more solid win from Tasker. I just thought it was a really fun, effective win from him. I like how Tasker played. I like the sets and stuff that he used. He got a lot of good offensive plays right pretty early on. He did some Cursula stuff. It was fun.
Yeah.
I like Cursula.
I think, yeah, Tasker is, he's started to learn a little bit how to use these kind of fat teams. He's becoming better at it. I think the key for him was trying to find a way for each of the fat ones to not be passive. And if you look at his team, apart from Carbink, which is passive,
Carbink is not passive with body press. And I don't think Carbink is especially passive. I would say it's better offense than Garbodor, which did damage with the Stomping Tantrum. Body press hits hard, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key for him that gave him license to use Carbink was that it got body press and it wasn't that weak anymore. Otherwise, I don't think you would have seen him use it. But in this specific meta, I think he was thinking it was
hate speech for Carbink.
And
I don't approve that.
Sorry, I don't think I could hear what you said, Tlenit.
Praise the Carbink. That's just a simple redirect hate speech over a Carbink. It's a great mon, even without the potty press. But with now the potty press, 150 base defense is just amazing paired to iron defense actually.
Yeah, I haven't even seen much iron defense. People seem to be running like Tasker had Protect. I've seen that multiple times because Scarf Toad 50/50s and stuff. I also want to briefly shout out Air Balloon Carpink because I hate Sandaconda. The only mons I played in the last week, I built a really funny team with an Air Balloon Carbink and then like a... What did I use? I'll save this one for Gimmick Corner, actually. I'll save the other things I used. I used some funny stuff, but Air Balloon Carbink, not the worst thing I've used.
Oh my god. Is there magnetorized Carbink actually coming in the Gimmick Corner? I can see that one.
No, I got something much better. But yeah, this was just a funny win from
Oh, okay.
Tasker, and I love seeing Kursula. I really do.
Yeah, I'm actually agreeing with that. We definitely need to use more Cursula because its move pool is amazing, and the weak armor paired with the Enter is just simply super good.
Mhm. It's nice to see Meteor Beam getting any usage. It's just like such a wacky move. Hard to get off on most things. Third highlight game.
I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
it's similar to Solar Beam. Like you just slap that as a
No, but it has a
random
special
like fourth
attack boost. That's
fourth
so much
move.
funnier. Hey Jad, tell
Well,
me
yeah,
Meteor
it
Beam
has
isn't
that.
better than isn't more cool than Solar Beam.
Well, for sure, but I mean, it's
Um,
similar to that.
I actually prefer Meteor Beam just because it
Exactly.
looks cool.
Yeah, no, I was
It
saying
just looks
Meteor
cool.
Beam is cooler.
Yeah, it's definitely the aesthetic move. Especially, I was looking actually for Pokemon that could use Meteor Beam and PU, and Cursor was the only one. So, yeah,
Well, we do have
I
other
think it's a good
Pokemon
thing.
that get it. It's just they're not good. There's Rock Polish Lunatone.
Yeah, I agree in that sense, but if you're comparing the solar beam, it's usually used by fire types that cannot pass water types. Like, okay, well, I'm hopping to Anu, for example, Gastrodon there. So you
Mm.
just slap the solar beam and just go through by that way. It's similar to Cursula with the meteor beam. You're gonna just get through the normal check and move on from there.
Yeah, but it's cooler because it has a special
Yeah,
attack boost. Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
third highlight game. I chose Expulso versus Sensei Axio. Yeah, Expulso used the team. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he built this and we used it twice. It's a nice little balance with the NP Mime and the Banded Polyrath, and I just kind of really like the team, and I thought Expulso played a pretty good game with this one. NP Mime is really just not bad. Um,
Yeah, it did way too much in this game, and
it didn't do
also,
that much.
I mean,
Oh no,
I
I'm
think
sorry. I'm
it did
sorry. It
quite a
came
lot.
back in. I forgot it came back in later and killed the cryogonal because he tried to knock it off and it just didn't kill. I forgot about that. Never mind. It did do too much.
Yeah, part of me is actually still a big Mr. Mime hater, but this game is just very good to showcase how good it can be right now.
Yeah, because the point is with things like cryogonal, there's just a lot of these random weak mons that uh, don't do enough to it. Mime's like its problem is its bulk, but we now have enough frail or passive things that it beats that's less of an issue. Clefairy can also beat Cryogonal. Um, Carbink is the other really big one, and that really helps Mime. Also, defensive Polyraths that just run like Scald. Um,
Yeah, definitely. And also, like, I'm not even surprised that Expulso is rocking in this meta. This is old NU meta, and he has been active there. So it's cool to see him rocking in PU as well right now.
yep. Hey, Jed, you're not even opening these games, are you?
I am.
Okay,
Nothing much to say though.
fair enough. And the last one I chose was Kush versus ES. Again, we had a more close game last game. This one was less close because Kush played this one pretty good. But yes, had some fun stuff. Subtox, Doug Trio doing the work. Um, Not a set we've seen in a while with these new metas. It was pretty impressive. Kush definitely did have a Drampa speed tie and a Quillfish roll that helped. I just still really liked how he played the mid game after that. I
Are you sure it was speed time?
Oh no, I don't know if it was speed
I,
tie. He had a Drampa.
Yeah,
They had a Drampa
there's a
off, and
chance
he
it
got
was
the
a team with
Draco.
Rampa or Max Speed. I don't know what spread CS is actually using, but there's a chance it was never a speed, but actually.
Yeah, no, there's probably a good chance that it wasn't. The point was more that like they had a Drampa off and he won. But the big thing, I just really liked how Kush ended up playing the mid game after that. Um,
Yeah, I think the experience was showed after Trump was removed, and CS was really rushing, just like he said after the game as well. But yeah, after Jumbo was removed, Kush actually just figured out what he needs to do to win this game, and he did everything right, I think.
He really locked
Yeah.
it down and prevented like a random win con from jumping in, kind of like we were just right before we did this, we were spectating Skipkin versus I'm Just Gray live for week 4, and it's kind of that was like the exact opposite game, where you take an early lead and then you don't lock it down. A surprise win con just blows through your team. It's like oops.
Absolutely.
I think Kush does really well in this game, just to like not take that much damage from the fat things. I know that's like a given that he's got fat things that don't do much damage, like Teferi and Tangela, but um, it's very easy over like the course of a game for those things to chip down all of your mons. But Kush, he managed to keep his things, which nothing really on his team had reliable recovery, bar like Drampa. So to keep these things alive for as long as they did, and to do as much work as he did with them, um, shows off well, like in terms of your offensive pressure. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Yep. Old gens. I chose a Ziri game again for the second week in a row, but this time he didn't win it. It was Ziri versus Skipcan, where Skip had a funny sub Custap Abomasnow and a Scarf Jellicent, and they both did a lot of work. So this was the SM kind of goes back and forth. I'd say there are 3 distinct kinds of games. Both players are just like reusing their old stuff because there's so much old SM stuff, and those can be pretty fun. And there are games where people like have sort of novel things.
Both teams are new teams.
Oh, both teams are new teams. That's fair. I don't recognize Ziri's team, but I would.
I'm a believer that both teams are new teams.
Possibly, yeah.
And also, I have to point out the turn 16 when the cryo comes in against the water spout. Ziri should have definitely calced that turn. He was just automatically thinking that, okay, hey, well, hold up, this is Specs cryo, Jellicent because of the water spout, but he never figured out that's Scarf damage.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
you gotta check that.
Bad, but I give the credit still Ziri playing well after this mistake, and I get the idea behind the misplay as well. He was just rushing the turn, and that happens to all of us sometimes. So.
Yeah, I think Ziri for the most part, aside from that, did play this game pretty well. But the late game surprise Abomasnow set also really did not help him. But yeah, like I was saying, I think there are 3 kinds of SM games. There's you got the we're both just gonna reuse our stuff because SM's pretty old. You got your stall games, and you got your games where people like kind of bring new stuff and fuck around. And it was nice to see people still doing that because Scarf Jellicent is a thing we've known about, but it really never took off. And this was a good showcase from Skipcan with them on.
Yeah, actually true, because it was Specs Jellicent the first thing to be used when it dropped. Yeah, that's true. Scarf was never thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hajad, are you going to pull a lantern here and say Scarf is Jellicent's best set?
No, definitely not. Trick Room is by far. But in terms of like things that you can slap on a team and have utility as a Scarfer, Jellicent is up there because you have a really high damage Pokemon, like high damage potential, but you get loads of utility as well. So you get the Ghost typing for spin blocking, which is big, and you also get just Jellicent in general, which is a bulky but also useful mon. So, yeah, I really like the idea of Scarf Jellicent. It's probably the next best after Trick Room.
I don't think that's correct, but okay.
Wait, what do you think is better?
I think Fat Jellicent is probably still better than Scarf. I don't think Scarf's bad. Just Fat Jellicent is a really good fucking fat sitting honestly, on your team and just spamming burn and stuff.
If we were to go back and retier the Pokemon, Jellicent's probably S rank for me.
It is S rank. It's literally S rank. It ended the gen in S rank. Oh. It is still S rank after we updated.
Yeah,
good. That's good. Okay.
It's Jellicent, It's Jellicent, Eel, and Torterra, all S rank.
Okay.
And people don't
Right.
agree. I still think Torterra should be S rank. Some people have been like, we should go redo the VR, and I still think Torterra is the hardest Pokemon to switch into. More than Jellicent, more than fucking. I mean, aside from your dedicated like Band Absol or whatever, but Torterra, oh my god, how do you switch into that thing? Hmm.
Yeah, the problem especially with Band Torterra is that if you get rocks up, nothing switches into it because all the birds are dead,
Ziri,
either to rocks or to Stone Edge,
wait,
and then
Ziri can't even beat it. Ziri has no grass resist. His team just absolutely dies to Torterra. Holy shit. Or like Leafeon?
Leafeon more, yes, but Torterra, I think he's still got a lot of offense pressure on it. So
Yeah, but a
it would
bit, but
it
like
would
it comes in on Mudsdale and Aggron, unless you're trying to like band Ice Punch it or something. Torterra kind of
I
fucks
assume
him
he's
up.
Ice Punch.
And
Yeah,
like
it would be
Raichu's not good versus it, although it is Z Psychic instead of Z Electric. Torterra just fucks this up. Anyway, that's not the point. Um, Oras game. Hond Pepe, the upset here. I thought this one, it was a pretty weird ending. Pepe just kind of threw, like straight up. But aside from that, I think there was a lot to appreciate here, such as Hans continuing to nickname his team 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, even when it's not hyper offense, and that's clearly not the order they're going to come out in. Like the Rock Smallwile is number 6. But aside from that, I think Han played this one pretty well with sub Marowak stuff. I think Pepe had a good idea of his win cons up until like the very last turn where he just threw the game. I like this game. This was funny or else.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like the way how it was played. I was just skimming through, and the lead sheet toxic Leafeon is actually quite cool. I like it.
Oh right,
No,
I forgot
no, it's
about
just
that.
lead sheet. Sorry, it's just,
No,
just
it was
toxic.
Toxic Leafeon and
Yeah,
Leech
just leave
Seed
it.
Tangela, which is honestly not that common thinking back to Oras. I don't remember much Leech Seed just because it has more moves it wants to use. I remember a lot more knockoff and stuff. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, you want to knock off those possible Rostam switches and so on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoever uses Marowak is also like God in my eyes because Marowak is very good Mon generally, but the speed just isn't there, and it gets usually just outshadowed by other ground types.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
Cool.
Marrow, it's all about that speed, how much you can enable it with T-Wave and stuff, because T-Wave is still broken in Oras.
But that's not even Han didn't even really do that. He's got like one pivot,
Yeah,
which is the
exactly,
Rotom. There's no T wave. He just got it in multiple times. Got a couple kills using sub 3 attacks, I guess. Fire Punch not being the last move is interesting. It's not Fire Punch, and I don't think it's Double Edge because he would have Double Edged the Leafeon. So I have no
Isn't
idea
it?
what the last move is.
Isn't it EQ
Well,
knock
the real players use
Stone Edge?
Blizzard.
Oh, it might be Stone Edge. Yeah, I forgot Stone Edge would be a thing that it might run just because it kind of doesn't. Like most of the time when I see Marowak, it just doesn't have Stone Edge anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, the real Marowak trainers will use a Blizzard as their fourth move.
Hell yes, no Tangela here. Black
Yeah,
White.
exactly.
Black White, I didn't really know. I'm a huge Black White defender this week. We had a lot of games that could have been quite good, and then something weird happened. Not always hacks, but there was like I don't remember which game it was really good, and then someone just like randomly sacked their Jumpluff for getting the Dwebble Runs cust app, and that was just the decider. Stuff like that. So I went with Serene Grace versus who is this alt again? I don't remember. Serene Grace versus Diofantine. Another UK game. I'm giving you way too much credit. I just this is mostly about spreading positivity. Here's some cool, fun stuff. I liked their teams. I liked Serene Grace's tentacle, scraggy stuff. Very Lily. This might just be the Lily team, but a Lily team, but I don't think so. And I like Diofantine's. He's got a ramp and a Chatot, and Chatot gets nobody uses Chatot at all. It's not a thing.
That's because it's bad.
It's very bad, but I really appreciate it, and it did do some work.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think he was. I gave him like 3 teams, and I told him, use one of these teams and you'll win. And he said, Tasker, do you have a team with Chatot? And then Tasker was like, no, but I can build something. And then,
oh my god,
Chatot,
you guys needed the win too. You guys tied the week, and now they're still 1 point ahead of you. Imagine if you do.
Well, now I'm pissed. Thank you for making me angry now, spreading positivity.
Okay, but the Chatot was funny. He also definitely thought Chatter was 100% confusion like it is in Gen 6, but it doesn't matter. It was still funny. And, like, he still had a shot this game. It mostly came down to a bit of scraggying at the end, which Serene Grace just had a better scraggy spread, apparently, for the 1v1. God, Scraggy's really good.
It's just hilarious, wasn't it?
Oh, Scraggy. And the last game that I thought was a good highlight, 2x attack versus Nelorium in DPP. Cute little back and forth. Really interesting end game to look at and see their odds of how 2X might have been able to pull out a win, particularly with that Custap Armaldo at the end. I very much enjoyed this.
Yeah, I got kind of sad moment for me. I have never actually saw 2X losing in a tournament game, so this is the first one for me.
Well, you never see 2X playing in a tournament game. That's not fair.
Exactly. So that's like breaking the mirror for me. But anyway, I saw a few builds from 2X, and all that stuff was really fun looking, and he really knows what he's doing here as well.
Yep. I don't have much more to say. It's still DPP. I would much rather be looking at the Scraggy tier than DPP. To be honest. I think that just about covers our wrap up. So next week, PU World Cup. Midwest is playing the practically out Brazil. We've got UK looking to pick up a win against West, and India Northeast facing off in that big pool. In that pool's big matchup. In Group B, you have France versus Asia, Africa, Australia. You have South versus Europe in that pool's big game, trying to see who can keep challenging France, and Italy versus Germany. And I think all that's left to do is throw this to a little gimmick corner. tlenit, we obviously didn't ask you to prepare anything, but is there anyone that you'd like to? Any sets, anything that you think is underappreciated, even if it's not crazy?
Yeah, there's a couple of few funny things. The first one is actually little speed invested Curse Golbat. That thing is actually quite good.
Why?
Getting the what do you mean why? It still outspeeds a lot of things like Ferroseed and with the Poison Fang.
Oh, good! It outspeeds Ferroseed, and you're running Poison Fang. Your 50 base power stab.
No, I was trying to actually say base 50s and lowers like Ferroseed that actually might try to leash it. Meanwhile, and also if you're trying to set up the sub, the infiltrator is actually getting through that. With Eviolite, it's fast as heck. Also, it's amazing Trampa switching, I think, even people's haters. The other one that actually should get more love is Unburden Accelgor with the throat spray.
Yeah.
That thing is demonic.
That seems like something that can just really catch you off guard. Like, oh, I'm fine. I've got my fast things, huh? What do you mean? It's like 800 speed.
If you want to dodge Focus plus missing, you can run Mud Slap.
Mud Shot. Mud Slap is the 20 base power accuracy one. Mud Shot is like 55 and does speed.
Yeah.
And then there's also Mud Bomb, which nobody uses or likes.
and also it helps actually drop the Seal Valley poison with the my chef. Yeah. So there you go.
I still don't know about Curse Golbat though. I think NP. I think Nasty Plot Golbat. That's really not bad, but
Go ahead and try it. Poison Fang.
but then I'd have to play
Curse.
Pokemon.
Yeah, that's true. Don't.
The really brief team that I played around with, I was using Weak Armor Explosion Garbodor to set up spikes and boom something, and it got a kill pretty much every game because nobody is looking for max tag Explosion Garbodor. Is it amazing? Is it better than normal Garb? No. Is it something that I think could be like a really solid surprise to just nuke something? Absolutely. I
actually really like that set, to be honest.
I only happened to be using it because I was alternately running it with Sunny Day or Rain Dance for Poliwrath or Maractus, which is another funny dimension to it, but you can just run it for regular spike support, I think. I was running. Oh, no, I was also running. Okay, Sunny Day, Focus Sash Garb with spikes and Sunny Day and Explosion into Weather Ball Frostmoth. Let's go.
Yeah, I approve this. I approve this stuff.
Yeah. That's literally all the mons I played. That's the only stuff I was using. Highly enjoyable. Didn't know about the other stuff, but Explosion Garb with the weak armor, funny stuff. Hijad?
Yeah. Oh. I'm there. What's up?
It's your turn. Do you wanna?
So, I used what's it called, Kanga Spikes last week.
Yep.
And I had a few variations of the same team. So one variation of the team that I used was the knockoff spam, which is what I ended up using. But there was a second version which had a different set of win cons. So for example, instead of knockoff, I had Calm Mind on Clefairy. I had Calm Mind as well on Sableye. And I had Whirlpool Trapper Kanga. But the kicker was Quiver Dance Bulky Frostmoth. That was the set that I wanted to use. Tasker actually gave me the idea, and I didn't end up using it just because that team did not work. Just generally the lack of knockoff didn't mean spikes helped at all, and it was just better off just not doing that and going down a more pivot route. The team actually suits the U-turn pivoting way more because you get in Kanga and fake out a lot, but definitely that's a set that I want to try in the future is, bulky, Quiver, Rest Talk, Ice Beam, Frostmoth with max likes for death or fizz death, depending on what you want.
I have actually used it already, and it's good. It's definitely good. Also, one thing people really
it's definitely an underrated set more than a gimmick or something that people won't have used.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's really good. People should use it.
Also, like in that type of a team, you should definitely give a shot for Ditto. I have been using it quite a bit as of late, and I think it's very good in this current meta.
I do like Ditto. I know Avarice brought it versus, or would have brought it versus Obi, brought it versus the game versus Mary. Yeah, Mary. Ditto's, it's one of those things that it drops. I'm like, oh, Ditto, I guess it's always been here. I'm not really thinking about it too much, but it's really not bad. I haven't built, but it really seems like from watching people build and play and stuff that Scarfers are kind of weird in this meta, and that there's probably a pretty decent place for Ditto. I think that just about wraps up our little get together that we'll be posting online for hundreds of people. I'm just kidding. We don't get hundreds of views. Happy Thanksgiving to neither of you, because I'm the only US-based person here. And we will be back next week with more PU World Cup content. Thanks for coming on, tlenit.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yep. That's what we call a podcast.